that trend on LinkedIn in terms of allowing yourself to be a little more personal,
and vulnerable.
a little more vulnerable. I can see where independent business owners feel more comfortable doing that. But what if you are representing a business that you work for? So there's that fine line, right? Of not sharing too much because people are afraid that if they're sharing too much about themselves, it's reflecting back to the company they work with or they're an employee
Right.
for.
But that can be a good thing.
Laura Marie Kaiser.
Faith die.
Okay, welcome back. So, first episode of 2025. If anybody didn't see the episodes from last year, you did the first one with me. We did it all in your space, which was wonderful and amazing. And then we did the last one together in your space. And now we're here because I said I wanted to be able to accommodate more people. So I'm kind of going backwards. Most people start on Zoom and then they go on
Yeah.
to
Well, this
physical.
opens it up to a bigger regional focus and a national focus and even globally. So I
Yeah,
think it's
that's
exciting.
exactly why I wanted to be able to include more people. So while I loved our space and I loved doing it together with you there, now we can, yeah, definitely make more of an impact and go farther. So
Pivoting.
yeah, we're pivoting. Thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So for this year, the focus that we talked about was I want to definitely highlight the whole concept of visible women and the group that we started. We talked about starting that group and we started the group. We started in February. So it's been a
Yeah.
couple of months and it's been such a nice start with everyone in the group. And I want to give everybody an opportunity to talk about their expertise more this year. So I thought it would be really great since it's still, first quarter of the year. We're still figuring out maybe how we want to do social media differently. If we're wanting to be more visible, we want to show up more. We talk about that and we talked about the the things that are underlying that. Like why aren't we showing up more? Why are we holding ourselves back? Why aren't you using your voice? We talked about that. So
Like
now
address the fear and conquer the fear instead of just letting the fear hold you back.
exactly. So now hopefully we're making strides. People are taking steps to show up more. So we said, okay, Laura, social media manager that you are, social media person, expert, specialist, you do this every day for clients. So let's start there because I want to tap into your experience of how you do this every day. What are some things that people can take away that they can use to just get better results from their social media, their reach, their engagement, all the things, the tactical things that you've been doing. So tell us your business and who you help.
So my social media business is Engage Social Media. And I started it because, well, my very first client was Foxconn. And so I think I'm the only person who benefited from Foxconn being in Wisconsin because I helped them do a really big project that allowed me to pay off my student loans. So that was amazing. But I started it because I really wanted to encourage people to understand how the engagement is the prime component to social media. A lot of times people get so fixated on, I don't know what to say. I make a post, I put it up, I'll check it again in a week and just kind of see if anybody liked it. And that's the exact opposite approach. When you take the time to curate a post and you tag people on it and you add hashtags and you really nurture that post, you really need to go in and within the first hour, you're going to get some engagement. If somebody comments on it or likes it or asks you a question, you want to follow up with immediate engagement. You want to say, thank you so much for commenting, even if it's not something that you agree with or they're arguing with you. Thank them for having that participation and for having those viewpoints and be willing to share them. And then comment on their post back. And then also go to the people that are commenting on yours, go to their page and actually start liking some of their things if you haven't done that lately too. And it actually really kind of warms up the algorithm. If before you make a post, you go through and comment in like some other people's posts too, and then you post and LinkedIn says, oh, you're really trying to engage with people. Let's really kind of make sure that this person gets seen. So there's a lot of different nurturing that needs to go into it. And some of it is before, it depends on the graphic that you put, the content you put, but then also how you follow up with it afterwards.
You just got ahead of all the questions I was going to ask you. You just answered them all. My first question was, how can a business increase their organic reach? You're the organic person. You don't necessarily work with paid social.
My niche is definitely building things organically. And encouraging the people that need to be part of that conversation to actually put their perspectives into it and also reach with your content, and then you're engaging with theirs. So if you're have a business connection on LinkedIn, there's probably a reason why you're already connected with them. So figure out what that mutual match is of why you're connected on LinkedIn, and really make sure that your posts talk to what they are excited about, and that you're looking for things that you can be excited about on their posts. Because everything on LinkedIn is give and take. You cannot be a taker. You cannot just be a giver. Don't be a stalker. Don't be a lurker. And if you go through and you really, really like something and it was impactful and it resonated with you and all you do is hit like, that's just so empty. Like, comment and say, wow, this really resonated with me because da da da. Or I really appreciate your perspective, but yeah, I kind of have a different take. I'd like to do da da da. Even having a different perspective is going to get more people to comment on that and say, oh, wow, look at these two different people have a perspective. Now I have a perspective that I'm willing to share. So it's kind of one of those give to get. The more you give, the more you're going to end up getting.
Mhm. So what are the social media platforms that you use with your clients? Is it mainly Facebook and LinkedIn?
I would say it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Blue Sky, the
Oh,
occasional TikTok. I mean, those aren't my favorite, but if your clients are there, you need to be there. And I don't think any of my clients need to be there yet, except for maybe one of them, but we're kind of feeling those things out. I think one of them too is that you have to be really careful when you have certain clients and you're encouraging certain platforms, because certain platforms have certain reputations. And so, obviously if somebody's talking about Grinder, you're going to assume, oh, they're probably looking for something different than somebody that's going on to Bumble, for example, like if you're on a dating app. So yeah, every different app, every different technology has a different stereotype and perspective, and you have to keep those in mind when you're signing up clients for those.
yeah. So for anybody who's, wanting to improve their business,
I thought you were going to say if anybody wants to know what Grinder is.
I was going to say that for those who don't know, Grinder. Some people don't know.
I get, yeah.
Grinder is a dating app per se.
It's a hookup app, I would say predominantly
Hookup app.
for people of the male persuasion looking for other male persuasions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If someone like me, who I get lazy and I want to have fun with my post, and I like the way I can create a post on, say, Instagram as a reel, because I like the music choice. I like the ability to put text on it, and I like the way I can lay that out quickly on Instagram, right? And then I say, okay, I'm going to download that and I'm going to use that same post. You've seen me do this. I'm going to use that same post and put it on LinkedIn because I just want to get something out there quickly.
Absolutely.
The content of the actual post itself, the text, I'll change it up. I'll use certain words or a certain style in Instagram, but I'll
And
change.
especially if people are following you on both, then they have different content. Even though it's the same content, it's still a different
Yeah.
angle and a different approach. But if you want to build your Instagram followers, you can literally copy that link, paste that into the LinkedIn, and then when people click on it, it'll take them to your Instagram.
Yes, I've seen that too.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a different strategy, and they both have different reasons. But
right. I've tried that before too. And I thought, well, I don't necessarily want to take them off LinkedIn and have them go to my Instagram. If some people who I'm connected with on LinkedIn might not be on Instagram.
absolutely.
So I thought, well, just show them the post, it's giving them the same idea.
And I like that you're tailoring it to your audience, because your audience on Instagram is theoretically different than your overall audience on LinkedIn. You might have a different kind of a message, a different spin on it.
Yeah, it's slightly more polished on LinkedIn. I'll tag people a little differently than you would on Instagram. Let's talk about that. So we talked about before where sometimes if you use a scheduling tool like Publer or Hootsuite, things like that, some people say, oh, I should do my posts in advance. And now I guess this is definitely a personal preference and a time thing, right? Oh, I'm going to do my posts in advance. I'm going to schedule them on a tool like that. I've seen where they've done that and posts and it shows up, but the people that they mentioned in the post aren't tagged properly on the platform. So you don't use those tools, right?
I do not. I post everything organically. And organically for me means organic content originally on each different platform. And then I also do it at the time of. So I don't pre-schedule posts, because I don't know. I feel like 9 times out of 10, if you schedule it, either something's going to change and then something overrides it. And then you don't want to schedule during that time, or you have something else that you need to post. And then you have to take the other one down, or you still post it and then you go through and edit it because then 24 hours later, you didn't like what you were saying. So for me, I think it's the most authentic to just post it while you're feeling it, while you're thinking it, while it's fresh, versus scheduling something thinking it needs to be polished. It needs to be published at exactly 8 o'clock and I'll be in a meeting at 8 a.m. So I'm going to pre-schedule it. I think the algorithm kind of understands all that. And I think you do get more credit for being authentic, spontaneous, and time of.
when you're doing it in real time.
Correct.
Yeah.
And not
Okay.
REEL, but REAL.
Right. Okay. Talk to me about the tone of your posts. Like, so say, what are the clients that you're serving now that you're working with now? What industries are they in?
Well, let's give an example of with politics. And then I
Okay.
also have Campo Alpaca, the fair trade company. And she's the UW-Madison alumni. And she works with fair trade artisans in Peru to sell alpaca fiber items. So,
Okay.
so yeah, every time I work with a different client, it's literally taking a different hat on and saying, okay, I am Campo right now. I have to speak in this voice and it's got a certain tone to it. But then when I'm working with politics, it's bipartisan, neutral, find the most flattering picture I can of the person I'm talking about, and make sure that there's nothing that's going to be perceived as, X, Y, or Z. Some things I can use humor for, some things I can't. Some I'm using my own voice. Some I'm more using the reporters that wrote the story. So it's definitely when you work with multiple different clients, it's literally doing a mind switch every time you're switching clients.
Yeah. So take the Wiz Politics, for example. So you're handling both their Instagram and their LinkedIn
And Facebook and Twitter.
and Facebook and Twitter. Okay. So how do you take one event and customize it for, say, LinkedIn versus Instagram? Do you
Well,
change?
so with that, it's the reporter's words and not my words. So I make the graphic that's going to capture the story and get the most attention and give the TLDR of the story as much as I can in the graphic. And then it's also making sure that I'm tagging all the different people organically on every different platform. So for example, if I'm doing a story and it's about the upcoming election with Brad Schimmel and Susan Crawford, I'm going to find a flattering picture of both of them. I'm going to tag each one of them on each profile that they're on. So for example, they may not be on Facebook, but then I'm going to add them both as collaborators on LinkedIn. So if they want, it can actually show up on their grid.
Oh, you mean on Instagram?
On
Collaborate
Instagram.
on
Sorry,
Instagram.
yes, on Instagram. So I try to really look at each different platform and say, okay, if I was Brad Schimmel or Susan Crawford and I'm seeing this post, they're both portrayed as equally as possible because we are a bipartisan news organization. So I take the exact title and I just literally make the graphic be as representative as possible and be as fair as possible to both, but then tag each individually on each different platform. So almost everyone's on Twitter. Almost everyone is on Instagram. I can literally tell you, like, if you told me a politician, I can almost tell you what their Instagram handles are. So, some of them are on LinkedIn, some of them are not. It's kind of interesting that Tammy Baldwin and Ron Johnson are both not on LinkedIn, but they are both on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what do you think? What are your favorite styles of posts? The type of content. So you have the regular graphic, there's the carousels, there's video, and written word, just regular text.
And then there's grid with text and then grid without text, or grid subtle text, and then grid with really bold text to really catch your attention. So honestly, I like all of them. I just think it's really
Yeah.
important to kind of mix it up and make sure that the post that you're talking about is represented for the best platform that's going to be in. Like, for example, with Campo Apaca, she was just recently in Peru and she sent me a lot of cool short little videos of different scenery from different environments. And so I turned them all into a reel. And I had the same wording that was on the side on the left. And then I just did a slow transition from one scenery to another. But then I kept the same font and I kept the same language that was on the left hand side. So it was like the mix and match. And what I do for reels is I do a lot of the base building actually in Canva. And then I import that into the Instagram reels. And then I'll actually put the fine touches on it. So I typically use a combination of both because I don't like being limited to one or the other.
I like that being able to use Canva because you're not relying on any one platform to create it. You have Canva that's separate.
Yeah. And like the Instagram audio is actually much different than the Canva audio. So depending on what I'm doing, I already know, oh, I want this Peruvian kind of chill background. I know I can find this exact certain one that I'm looking for in Canva, and I won't be able to get it on Instagram because it's a business license. And I
Mhm.
pay for the business license already in Canva, so I get a lot more audio materials already in it. So really have to customize and know what your options are and really play with and explore with them.
Do you like the audio options better than the trending audio options in Instagram? Or do you
Yes,
use them?
I typically don't use the trending audio because they usually don't match what I'm talking about. Like if they were for my personal life, I use the trending ones in my personal life, but they don't really match the business aesthetics that I'm looking for with all of my clients.
Okay, yeah. So
Like
the,
with,
the
and I also work with Wiz Business. And so for them, I actually do like a businessy kind of theme where it's like a da 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 da, where it's not like a, rap music with swear words in it or whatever.
right.
And some of those are trending, and that's great, but that obviously doesn't match the aura that I'm trying to offer with a post. So
Right.
I think you have to be really careful with the audio that it's not going to turn people off as well. Where it's
Yeah.
got to be interesting, but not so interesting that then it's kind of like the whole thing of like, don't wear a wedding dress that wears you. You want to show, you want to be the star, right? And like the wedding dress looks great on you, not the other way around, where your wedding
Mhm.
dress is so over the top that people aren't even looking at you anymore. You have to be really careful with all your different elements that they're all playing together and not overriding each other. Cause then people spend more attention looking at that and not actually reading the post. And then they also tend to not follow the call to action because then they just get either annoyed at the music or they get distracted by the music and then they just click off. And at the end of the day, you always want people to follow through on your call to action on every post.
Yeah. I found that I have to, especially when I do video projects for clients, the standard practice is to turn the volume of the original video, the audio track down from what
Yes.
you got. You don't use it right out of the can. You bring that volume down.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't even know that's an option, which is great
Mhm.
because you can customize it. And if you've got somebody talking, but you want really soft music in the background, like you could do that. A lot of people don't know that you can do that. They think it's just one or the other. The more you play with the tools, the more knowledgeable you get, the more comfortable you get with it. But that's also why people like to hire a social media specialist because then we can do all that stuff and know all that. Like we know exactly where, when you go to search for an emoji, you've got like 10 different screens to pick from. I know exactly where every different emoji is that I'm looking for to find it. So it's kind of one of those things where social media becomes a lot more efficient when you're a specialist versus then if it's just a client trying to keep up on it, it takes a lot more time.
Yeah. That's why they get you guys to help and take care of it and get it off their plate.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're going from scratch to create new content for a client, is your go-to, like your first go-to is typically going to be Canva, whether it's going to be a graphic or a video? Like, do
Yes.
you use their templates in there?
Yep. Because I usually edit the color and I find the color editing works much better in Canva than just trying to apply a filter. And the color adjusting in any one of the, like especially even Instagram, it's just not as fine tuned as the one in Canva is. Like, so Canva, you could play with all these different things. You can also, if the background is slightly off in Canva, you can actually grab the image, move it to the side, futz with the background, and then put the person back in there and adjust them to whatever size you want. So you can think of it, if there's like a shadow or something, you can actually grab them, then make them bigger and it covers up the shadow. So
Mm.
there's lots of little tools in Canva that just, I find the more I use it, the more I love it.
Yeah, I love
I typically always start in Canva, even if it's just a raw picture and I know I'm going to basically use the picture. There's always a little bit of color editing that I can do to make it look the best on the profile. And typically I'll try to brand the pictures. Even if it's really, really subtle, I try to put a brand in there so that if anybody else is sharing them, it's, keep it all top of mind.
So now you're doing this on your desktop, your laptop, when you're creating this?
And my phone. I do a lot on my phone.
Oh, you do?
Hmm.
Okay. So that it's easier to get it from Canva into the platform as opposed to trying to do like something in Canva on your laptop and then putting it on Instagram from your laptop. That doesn't work.
I don't put Instagram from my
Yeah,
laptop
you
for sure.
can't.
But the nice thing is
Yeah.
that anything you make in Canva stays in Canva. So the second I get done editing it on my laptop, I can literally just open up my phone and it's right there and I can download it from there. And then same thing the other way. If I start something on my phone, but I think, oh, this would be easier if I just did it on my laptop, I could just then go pick up my laptop, play with it, and then go back to my phone and download it for Instagram or whatever.
Right.
So it's just super efficient to just know all the quick little shortcut ways to make things easier.
And it's nice that they have that available on both that you can just jump back and forth between the two.
Versatility. It is amazing. And they just keep getting better and better and better. And I
Yeah.
think you and I just talked about that, like the Canva Connect is coming and it's one of those things where they roll out all these new tools all of a sudden. And it's usually I try to avoid it for the first couple of weeks because they have all these pop-ups that are like, oh, try this. And then I get overwhelmed. So I just kind of wait and I'm like, all right, what new things are out?
I'll try one thing at a time. I
Yeah.
remember when I did
Yeah.
that before. I tried a background remover. It's like, oh, that's fun. The little things.
And there's little tricks to the background remover too, by the way.
There's little tricks to the background remover. Like what?
Oh, I
How do
can't
you?
tell you all the secrets. I'd have to kill you. Some secrets I just can't share. They're just my blood, sweat, and tears to get to where I am now.
That's your specialty is having those little special tweaks in there.
It is. And it's not just the fact that you have the tools. Tools are tools, but it's how you use the tools. And sometimes they don't go through and say, in order to do this, you need to do this. The tools are there. You just have to play with them to figure out how you use them best for what you're doing.
Okay, someone asked me about conversions.
Okay.
And, like vanity metrics versus how do you know when a post is actually leading to a conversion, whatever that conversion is, like a product sale or someone signing up for your event or your service. Have you been asked to track things like that in the past? And how do you do that?
Yes and no. And I tell people when they first on board with me, I am not a diehard KPI person. If you start to see growth and you're getting more engagement and you're getting more followers and you're getting more people coming to your events, that's really all that matters to me. And that really should be all that matters to you. If you want to hire me to be an in-house social media person, I'll sit down and track all that shit for you all day. But I don't have time to deal with that kind of stuff. So I tell people basically, fuck the algorithm. And if you are noticing that you're getting more traction, more engagement, more conversation, people are saying, oh, yeah, your LinkedIn is great. Da, da, da. That's really what matters most than anything else. It doesn't matter how many likes you get. It doesn't matter. There are some posts that are really interesting to me. I'll go through and I'll think it's a great post and like it's really compelling. It's top of news mind or whatnot. And I'll go through and there'll maybe be 6 likes on it. But then I look through and I see how many people actually interacted with it. And then I hear on the back end that tons of people ended up signing up for an event because of it. So I really caution people, don't live and die by how many likes you get. It's the overall, how are people feeling about you? Are you feeling like you're more in the conversation? That's really what matters more than anything else.
Okay. So no one's asked you to go back and track such and such content led to such and such sale. Because yeah, you don't know what else they're saying. Oh, I saw a post and then I went to your website. Oh, and then I saw a YouTube video. And
You know why? Because it's a reputation thing. One post is not going to lead to a sale. It's going to be a collection of posts that let people think, oh, I really like how this person talks. I really like how this person thinks. I really like how this company represents themselves. I really like how they're constantly having regular content. It's never, ever, ever, ever one post. And so that's why there's no point in tracking any one individual post. If you do paid posting, totally different story. So if you're
Right.
doing the paid social media and you pay $500 to promote a conference, obviously you're going to want to track the KPI on that. You want to track the conversion and how many people directly clicked on that and bought sales. But when it comes to organic social media, it is not about per post. It's about the entire reputation that you're building and your reliability and the trustworthiness that people feel from reading your content on a regular basis.
Building that familiarity, building that trust. Yeah.
Yep.
So are there any trends that are going on right now that people should be paying attention to? Is there anything that you follow on a certain platform?
I think people are feeling more comfortable speaking their true selves. And I think that it used to be, like for example, LinkedIn was seen as a resume platform, like when we all first hopped on it like 20 years ago. And I think when I'm working with the UW students in the sociology department and I'm kind of mentoring them on what they're going to do after they graduate, it's interesting to me that I say to people, are you on LinkedIn yet? And people say, well, no, because isn't that for resumes? Yeah, no, your resume is for resumes. LinkedIn is your professional connections that you need to grow in your industry, whatever industry you want to be in. Like, for example, I say, I've worked at many different banks. I have connections with all the people I've worked at all the different banks. So if somebody came to me saying, hey, I'm interested in getting a job at XYZ Bank. Do you know anybody? Ironically, yes. Look at that. There, you can look at the bank and then you can literally see that I'm connected with so-and-so at the bank. You can reach
Right.
out to me and say, hey, I saw you're connected with Bob over at Bank Wonderful. Can you send me an introduction? I'm kind of interested in working there. That's what LinkedIn is for. It's about building your reputation, and it's about building your professional strength and skills and showcasing who you are outside of a piece of paper. It is everything other than a resume, to be honest. Like, I've never put my resume on LinkedIn. Yes, you can see your job experience on there, but that is not your resume. So I
Right.
really try to tell people, and I think people are getting more comfortable, and I really do geek out on LinkedIn. I really do
Yeah.
love teaching people to be more comfortable on LinkedIn, because people say, I don't know what to post. I don't know how to post. I don't know, how do you tag people? And all these little things that I kind of take for granted that I assume everybody knows. And then I talk to people and realize that not everybody knows this. So I think it's people being more comfortable just being themselves. And then they get feedback from people saying, thank you so much for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing that. It makes me feel less alone. And that's kind of my goal is, on all the social media platforms I'm on, like, I like to tell people everything that I'm experiencing that somebody else might relate to and make them feel less alone, more heard of, more resources. I mean, there are like illnesses, chronic illnesses that I have, and migraines and back surgery, that people have reached out to me and said, oh my gosh, tell me more. I thought I was alone. Nobody else is ever talking about this. And I think there's that stigma of don't share personal things. You know what? Share all the personal things if it's going to make you, number one, kind of get off your chest, but let other people know that you're in that situation and you see them and that you're there to talk to as well. It's about building connection
So that trend on LinkedIn in terms of allowing yourself to be a little more personal,
and vulnerable.
a little more vulnerable, whether I can say we're independent business owners feel more comfortable doing that. But what if you are representing a business that you work for? So there's that fine line, right? Of not sharing too much because people are afraid that if they're sharing too much about themselves, it's reflecting back to the company they work with or they're an employee
Right.
for.
But that can be a good thing. So, for example, I'm connected with a lot of CEOs and a lot of head ups of very important companies. They have gone on there and talked about their wives that have had breast cancer and like how that's impacted their family. Because guess what? That does affect your personal life. That does affect your work life. You don't leave when you go to work, you don't leave your personal life at home. You bring your whole body, your whole self, your whole personality to work with you. And I think more and more people are understanding that what you're going through as a person affects who you are as a business. And if you've got the CEOs and the head corporate people that feel comfortable talking about the fact that, you know what, my life is kind of a challenge. I'm not just sitting in my office collecting big paychecks and going golfing every day. I'm dealing with some real things. And I think a lot of times people are also talking about, these are the community events that I'm volunteering with. This is why Habitat for Humanity is a great organization. And I personally believe in it. And I went out and I did a 5K because I really want to support my best friend who died of colon cancer 6 years ago. So those kinds of things, yes, they're extremely personal, but they also help reflect your values, and they show people that you are a person and not just a business. I mean, you're not going on there and showing vulnerable pictures of your family at vulnerable times. But I think really just telling people I am a real person. And even though I'm a bigwig at a company, or I'm a peon at a company, I'm a person that's in this role giving it my best, but I'm a person more than I am an employee. And I think more and more companies are encouraging people to be vulnerable and not treat it as, because they don't own your LinkedIn. They're not responsible for it. They're just lucky that you even say that you work there. You don't have to.
Yeah.
So I think companies are encouraging people, go ahead and take over your own LinkedIn, like showcase your personality, showcase what you're passionate about, what your values are, because that does impact the business in a positive way.
Yeah, I even heard someone talking last week about the companies themselves and taking down some of that corporate speak
Yes.
and being a lot more real and authentic. The people behind the large companies, not just
Yeah.
you know, the any employee, but the people who are leading the company, or the brand voice of the company is getting a little more casual, not so formal.
Well, it affects your reputation. How do you want to be known? Do you want to be known as like suit and tie, corporate, we're only in for the money? Or do you want to be, we're a people first organization that loves our employees and we really care about the people that work for us and our customers? Which approach is going to reflect that more?
Right.
A good example is American Family Insurance. They used to be very, 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 very corporate. And now it's not like that at all. Yes, obviously they still run, they're very successful business. They're high reputation in the company, but all of the employees that I'm connected with are posting about their real lives. They're posting about things that they find joy of outside of work. And it makes it look like a more real company that really cares about people.
So you're working with businesses of all sizes, companies of all sizes, organizations.
And individuals, yep.
Yeah. So tell us the name of the business again, your company again.
Engage social media.
Okay. And where's everybody going to find you?
The best way is probably just to email me. It's Laura, the normal spelling, Laura, at engagesm.com. And
Okay.
because I have a list, it's engagesammary.com.
Engage SM as in social media.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes. I spend more time nurturing other people's content and not my own. So I don't post a lot about my own business, but you can also find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok.
And you can see how supportive you are of other people's content, especially on LinkedIn. I see how you support so many different kinds of content businesses, perspectives. You're literally engaging with them and showing your support, adding comments, adding to the conversations. So people can follow you on LinkedIn just under your name, Laura Kaiser.
And not even follow me, connect with me. Like, I don't need people to follow me. I don't want to be like on a pedestal where people are, oh, look what she did. I want to see what you're doing. And if you follow somebody versus connecting with them, then they can't see what you're doing. So I highly encourage you, anybody that you feel comfortable with, connect with them instead of just following. That's an important tip too, because a lot of people don't realize that. And sometimes if you just go to their profile, you'll only see the follow. But if you click on the little 3 buttons and you do the drop down, you'll see an option to connect.
I didn't know that. So what connect means, it's a friend request. It's a connection request that they have
Connecting. Yeah. So don't think of it as friends, but you're
Not
connecting.
friends, but
It isn't connection, right?
yeah.
You do follow, you're only seeing what they do, and they can't see anything that what you do.
I didn't know that there was a drop down where you could do connect after that. Wow. Great tip. Perfect. Thank you.
I play on social media a lot.
And I thought I knew everything about LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn so much. I didn't even, because I would follow and I would know that I'm following them and they're not necessarily following me, but I didn't know there was a connection option after that. So I'm going to
Yeah,
go.
and sometimes you get connected with so many people, it's kind of hard to remember who you've already connected with. There are times that I've been at networking events. I'm like, oh, we should totally connect on LinkedIn, and we're like, oh, look at that, we already are. Like, yeah, and I think too, it's important if you really enjoy somebody's content, engage with it, because then LinkedIn will bring you more of it. If you're only lurking and looking at people occasionally, guess what? LinkedIn's going to think you don't want to see what they're doing and they won't send it to you. So LinkedIn learns what you like and brings you more of that content.
You're giving them the signal.
Yeah.
Keep me in the loop with these people.
It's not a mystery that every single time you post, I see it almost immediately.
Yeah.
You can also favorite people up in the corner of most social media platforms so that every time they post, it comes up relatively top in your feed. So that's
Okay, yeah.
on Instagram, it's like a little bell. I think LinkedIn, it's a favorite or something. So play with it. But most things have that.
Yeah, the bell on LinkedIn. I forget about the bell. That's still a thing. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Laura Marie Kaiser.
welcome.
Engage social media. Find Laura Marie Kaiser on LinkedIn. She's got the flowers behind her name. I love that. And yeah, these are great tips. Thank you
And
so
you
much.
took away your videographer emoji because I swear I used to have the little video after yours and now it's not there anymore.
I did. I took the emoji away from my name. I pulled it off.
Because
I'm hearing back and forth like, oh, emojis behind your name are annoying. No, they're very good because they let people know right away what you do.
and you stand out. Yeah, there's so many people on LinkedIn that it just helps you stand out and stay top of mind. So do you want to stay top in mind? Top of mind? Yes.
Well, in that point, I do put it in the title. So when you're commenting, people can see who you are and what you do.
Yeah, if somebody just goes to the LinkedIn search and I type in your name, they'll see a brief snapshot of like where you work and that kind of stuff too. Because sometimes some people have more than, like, for example, I do Laura Marie Kaiser because Laura Kaiser is the head of SSM Health in Madison.
Oh,
Because people were literally sending me messages saying, oh, I'd like to talk to you about blah, blah, blah. Now, it took me a long time to figure out, like, what do they think I do for a living? This is back when LinkedIn first started, or like 2010 or whatever, when I first got on LinkedIn. But so that's why I switched it, because I didn't want to have to compete with her and have anybody that's trying to reach her reach me and think that I'm somehow like the head of some big health system.
right. Right.
Distinguish yourself so that they don't get it mixed up with other people. I love your energy. I love sharing with you. I love always conversations with you. I feel sad that I can't give you a hug right now, but you owe me one.
I know. I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for coming back for the first one for this year and sharing tips that we can really take advantage of and take action on right away. So good stuff. And if anybody needs help, you can help them.
And if you want more encouragement and support and tips or tricks for being on video, reach out to Faith, especially if you are of the female persuasion, because her group is absolutely amazing. It's a great kind of sisterhood, but it's also lots and lots of like hands-on training, and she meets you where you are. If you're already kind of experienced, she'll take you to the next level. If you're total rookie, she'll take you to the next level. So I highly encourage you to keep sharing about your group. And if you are all interested in joining our group to be more comfortable, reach out to Faith.
Yeah, we would love more people to join us. Yeah.
Visible women,
Women.
because that's what we aim for.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you.